how many people here have a Walkman phone? I mean, come on, everybody, right? They owned the market for 20 years in portable music. So clearly they were able to translate that into a digital world, right? No, and go look at news articles. You'll see every pundit for years after Apple dominated the market was sure that Sony's gonna come out any minute now, they're gonna release their music player. And then when it became music phones, any minute now, Sony's gonna partner, they're using their partnership with Sony Ericsson, and they're gonna completely destroy Apple and dominate the market. Why didn't it work? Well, I mean, I can speculate. Sony has some execution issues of some sort. But more to the point, it worked in one era. They had a single point solution that worked well. At that time, in that market, with that design team, simply saying, oh, well, it's a Walkman phone, it'll work fine, doesn't work. It was harder to illustrate other versions, but you can't just take the competitor's idea or the coolest thing that came out now and go, and we'll add this tweak to it and put our branding on it, work for us. It will not work for you. Something very like it might work for you. You can be inspired by it, but you need to do the whole design exercise and find the right solution for your problem statement. We'll go to again. This is another one that can be hard. For example, when some executive says, and I want a Dropbox app on my iPad, except it does this stuff. It's only my products. Well, that doesn't make any sense. So what do you actually mean? And then you have to pursue through the thing. You have to build it. You can't just say, I'm not building that, at least out loud to them. Internally to your team, we all go, we're not building that, right? Okay, great. So how are we going to do it? And then you have to go up to them and say, well, okay, well, we need to understand exactly what you need. We need to know your business process. We need to know what you really mean by that. And then instead of just gathering the data and feeding it back, which can work, by the way. I can get the data to do this usually in that way. It's one of the reasons you have to, say, invite them to your office or have lots of conference calls or have them sign off on interim deliverables when you're doing these exercises, because then they are part of the process. Yes, it's a little bit better to have them involved, but in many ways it is a political jibe more than anything. It's that you have to have them involved to have them involved. Otherwise they think you're imposing and they won't build it. They'll go, no, I asked for that. I don't really care what your cool other idea is. If you involve them the right way, you can show them the exact same thing, the exact same end result, and they'll go, great. Yep, exactly what we talked about in that meeting. I love everything. Continue. But you have to pursue it the right way. You have to be aware of those problems in order to pursue it the right way.
Steve, what happens when you get someone's back up and you pissed them off? How do you handle it?
Call somebody who's better at diffusing situations than me.
I mean, I've got a situation where I'm looking at design and training, and I know that the problem is a particular person's learning designs. But he considers himself an expert in the area, but apparently his coworker is backed up.
Well, see, at least you got that information. Yeah, the worst one is going into a situation and not knowing that they're unhappy. So you got some time to plan for it. I'm trying to remember what the little catchphrases for it are. I took some other interesting training, like in negotiation skills and stuff like that did it. But my short version of it is something along the lines of being aware what the core problem is. Yours is harder, so maybe I'll get to that in a second. But overall, often it's like, oh, wait, misperception of this. So if you back up enough, you can realize, wait, I see when he kind of shifted in his chair 5 minutes ago, that was what I said. Oh, this. Oh, okay, wait. And then you can, sometimes I've been able to like mid-course correction thing. Without saying, I see you're upset, you can kind of go, just keep going and re-explain things, and things get about halfway there. I haven't thought about it in a while, but I tend to say that's almost a design, like they have their own design principles behind them. And that's, I don't know if there's one I've got a good solution to, almost, if they want to execute their design. But I'll take something else.
I mean, sometimes in that case, kind of put it back on them to perhaps do some usability testing or something like that. So they're the ones that are exposed to the feedback and take yourself out of the middle. Maybe so ask them to go out and maybe put some concepts together and put them in front of a group of people and get some feedback, and then they're the ones who
can. I'm hired to do that. And the other problem is that the answer I got from the other staff is that we only use the most experienced people on our staff to solve these problems, which means it's the old guys that are coming up with old solutions. Right. And I'm an old guy, but I know this is wrong, so it's a problem.
Yeah, there's still a problem. Yeah, so yeah, this is high level and everything's a little bit coming up roses, so yeah, I don't have everything. Yeah, then one of my ones in theory would have been research in some sort or another. Not necessarily exactly like do research of that. You could use their ideas and construct the research that exposes their problem. But yeah, I have a lot of that where I'm not allowed to do research. There's no time, there's no budget. We don't need to we know this. We've got this great market study. Great. And we got a focus group that tells us we need this thing. We don't need research. So that's a lot of those things don't work out for me because I'm never allowed to do them. If I come with a great answer, I'll tell you about it. We can talk over dinner. I don't know. Yeah. Damn it, had to get a problem that I can't solve, that I can't at least make it sound like I solved. Oh, yeah, love this one. Though this I was nicer. See, I went positive on this one, Embrace Your Constraints. It's based on a blog post I did a couple months ago that was actually called Brainstorming is for Suckers. Because the short version, essentially, as far as I'm concerned, brainstorming doesn't work. It turns out when you go into super detail, it means brainstorming doesn't work the way most people do it, but the official way works. But that doesn't matter because nobody does it the right way. So what we were taught in brainstorming is in grade school, every idea is worthy. There's no constraints. Think of anything. It doesn't work. There's no point. And this isn't just my experience. This is like researchers from starting from 2 years after whenever that first brainstorming book came out said doesn't work. There's other ways to do it. On the other hand, it doesn't mean you can't get a group of people together and come up with a bunch of ideas. You just have to, and I'm terrible with names, already forgotten. First presentation in this room today said, essentially this thing, embrace your constraints. Embrace the constraints. They're key, so there's no way around them, especially in our space. If you're talking small device, wonky network access, fragmentation, you're not going to get around them. They're not going to magically disappear. But also, constraints are one of those exercises, in the opposite of the way we were taught brainstorming in grade school, that actually help spark ideas. So this is one of those. This is one of the results of those exercises where you talk to the client for weeks and weeks and you work out the stuff. And so that's what it all needs to do. And there's all kinds of you must not do this and it must do this feature. You boil that thing down, and this was actually on the whiteboard so that we could have design sessions. We sat there on the conference table and went, ideas, and every once in a while we go, wait, is that? Oh, no, that won't work. We have to have that thing up higher. So, oh, sorry. Right at the moment he comes up with it. Yeah, it seems mean. It seems anti-brainstormy. That's my point. You scribble it out and you move on. Maybe saying it out loud worked, but you don't just throw the ideas out. Anyway, think about the way you're doing this stuff. Don't just get everybody together and start brainstorming sessions, but plan those out, maybe not quite as robustly, but kind of the way you would, say, user research or anything else like that. Plan it out. Have a moderator if you have a big enough team. If you have not all designers, definitely have a moderator. And who acts like a moderator, somebody who can be not involved and also is loud enough that they'll interrupt everybody when things are happening. But plan out those kind of sessions to make sure you get good results out of it. Collaboration is a good one also, in the vein of brainstorming. Not everybody collaborates right. A lot of times they sit in the room together and, like several people have mentioned in their talks, play Angry Birds when they're not interested in the meeting. Actually need to collaborate, so you need to contribute, but you also need to organize it right. This is some of this stuff gets to a project manager level almost, but you can do by if you're a design leader. What it says, use everybody's skills and knowledge. Everybody's different. If you have a team of 6 designers, well, they're all designers, right? Well, they're not the same people. A lot of them have different skills. You're more technical, and you're basically a visual designer, and therefore, we will assign each thing, not necessarily assign tasks, but listen to those responses more carefully. Falls back to my conscious designer, that you need to not just be aware of why you're designing, but make everybody else aware of why you're designing this thing. Don't just go, I think drag and drop is cool, but have a reason behind it. You've done research in this user base, or you've heard it at least. You've at least read a blog post, or somebody claims that they did some research. Yay, so you have something to back it up. Because we're not just, like I said, I have an art degree, so I know the difference. Design has a goal, interactive design, user experience design should be evidence-based. It's approaching a science. So use that knowledge that you have and make sure you're designing not to your desires and preferences, but to information you actually have, and then share it with people. And so similarly, as a design leader, you have to make people do that. We assign that to the guy who should know it best. He says we should do this, and then we ask him why we should do this. It's the same thing as the pattern stuff up front, though. It's exactly the same. If we assume he knows why, and we don't ask him, there's no reason, like there's no conflict here, so we'll just take on your result. Then we might later forget what the point is. We might miss the point and not be able to elaborate on it and go, oh, it needs to be, I see, upper left. Therefore, well, what if we moved these items around? You can come up with better ideas if you know why you're doing what you're doing. So that's how you get to people. And then, essentially, though it's usually different people, wrap it up the way you started. Just like you asked the business group what was going on when you started the project, ask people for input when not when you're done, but when you're done at a certain design phases. You show it back to, you show the general concept. You usually can't show like the business owner a full wireframe, they'll be baffled. But you build some new diagram, you show the general concept. It's going to process like this. We'll use this data and we'll populate it here. That will spark new, if you present it well at least, that will spark new information to them. They'll go, oh, have you talked to the guys over in provisioning? No, who are they? Oh, okay, I'll get you guys. You get context, they give you more information. You learn new ways the business is working. You learn new data streams. You find things that, oh, save you 1,000 hours of development. This already exists, there's an API. Oh, well, now I know. If you didn't do that step, if you just kind of went, whatever, or didn't listen for it and just threw it over the wall development, they might not know. Very often they don't, that people are siloed. If you're doing the mobile development only and just going to attach it to their data streams, you would do it only the way they told you to. If you explore more in this way, you find out better stuff, you can be more integrated in the process. As far in our area, more integrated in the process is good. You're not some little funny siloed thing that they then replace 6 months later when there's a problem. You become integrated into the business process. 1 billion people start knowing who you are and going, oh, they came to me with this very specific request and asked for hooks into my data stream, and yay, we like them. You start getting built into all their business cases later on. And you can even sometimes leverage this for like finance purposes. They start paying for, oh, that was free. We got that. That storage was just built into the SP7 project. No problem, don't worry about it.